Okay, the world of 1,000 stamps. What is it? Well, it's the world, and there are stamps from around the world in this project. What is it? It's a set of pre-printed album pages with spaces for one stamp from all countries that have ever issued stamps. Now, the word countries is quite all-encompassing. It could be a perfect club activity to spur member participation in an interesting project, where if you have stamps from certain countries, you can put them in this album. The history was conceived by the Smithsonian Postal Museum. I went onto their website, nothing about it at all. It was expanded and improved by the St. Catherine Stamp Club. And I'd like to thank Ian Gillespie there at the club, who's put out these pages now. I'll show some examples of pages and talk a little bit more about it. 149 pages. Like I said, over 1,000 countries. 12, so the album's divided into 12 sections. And this is the table of contents with North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia, Oceania, Antarctica, private corporations, post offices abroad, international posts, military and governments in exile, and military occupations. Those are the main categories. And in countries, as you can see, it includes everything: governments, postal administration, states, colonies, occupation forces, overprints, anything listed in Scott. So this is page one. Of course, it's got a bit of a Canadian slant to it. This is here, we're looking at, in this left-hand column on the page, this is where you put the main stamps from the Canada. And they're defining Canada here as actually having only from 1982 to the present. They call it the British Dominion until we had the in 1982, when we repatriated had the Constitution Act. So they're having a small subcategory of Canada here. Of course, the British colonies from 51 to 67, and then the provinces: Newfoundland, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and Prince Edward Island. If we look at page 2, we continue more Canadian provinces, one for Vancouver Island. But in the United States here, this is what I'm particularly interested in. We have got, in this left-hand column, you put the main US from 1847 to the present. And you can also look for Danish West Indies, US Virgin Islands, and other those categories. But they also have what's called the Confederate States of America. They published as a separate administration, at least in this, from 1861 to 65. So there is a bit of a category difference there. Here's another example. This is page 3, Greenland. And it talks about, you put your main Greenland from 1938 to present here, but they also had some parcel stamps where letters were mailed free of charge from 1904 to 1930 something. 2, which was Greenland, valid on mail to Copenhagen from the US military base from 1941. So they're being very specific in some of these other jurisdictions.
Arnie, what are the sizes of the pages? Are they 8.5 by 11?
Correct. These are all 8.5 by 11. This is page 3. And here we're looking at Mexico, with both 1856 to the present. And then they have the Sinaloa province, which had a revolutionary issues in 1929. And there's the Yucatan province in 1924. And the French occupation of Mexico from 65 to 67. So they're being very exact in what they're broad in their definitions of what a country is. Those are just some examples. Here's one example for Central America. Of course, we'll see Belize, which is from 73 to the present, but before that it was British Honduras, so you can put the British Honduras stamp. The idea here is that you put the Belize stamp here and the British Honduras stamp here. You put the Costa Rica present stamp here, and then they've also got a province of Guanacaste from published stamps from 1885 to 1889, just for local use. Nicaragua too, from 1862 to the present, but then there was also a province and seaport issued due to currency differential. So there's small issues in these example pages. We look at China, of course, the People's Republic from 1949, but there was also the Republic of China, Imperial China, Manchuria, Yunnan, Tibet, and that's just part of the Asia pages. This is all page number 74. International organizations, you asked about them. The League of Nations has published stamps in Geneva from 22 to 42, the International Labor Organization, International Court of Justice from 1934 to the present, National Bureau of Education, again from 1944 to the present, World Health, United Nations in the 3 cities. So these are just some examples of pages, but the idea being it's about 100, as I said, 150 pages. They say they put this page of the club that I know St. Catharines has about 800 of them already of the countries done. And you can put the pages on a plastic sleeves and in a 3-ring binder. And then anytime anybody, there's a master list. And if you publish the master list amongst this, send it to the collector, say, here, these are the 275 or 690 ones we're still looking for. If you happen to have any of these in your collection, please bring it to the next meeting.